Hello again, Struck Club. Yesterday Torchlight 3 received its last update from Extra Games, which is the so-called spring update that brought the new class, the Cursed Captain. I'm making two videos, this is video number 2. Video number 2 will be covering the patch notes as I normally do, like a patch notes summary with some highlights of the things I think are worth mentioning and talking about, whereas video 1, which you can find on my channel as well, will be covering areas such as Cursed Captain War, Cursed Captain development origins, class mechanics, skills, my impressions of the Cursed Captain class, my very early impressions, because I've only played a little bit with it, and things like info about the contract award and the future of the game, now that Extra Games will no longer be continuing the development themselves, but rather Perfect World will be taking the reins. Now let's move on to the patch notes themselves. First, a summary about the new features. A new class, the Cursed Captain, new pets and new variants of familiar friends, new wardrobes and fort props, new contract, fur and fashion, new legendary armor and weapons, inventory sorting. Players can now sort their inventories with filters. Look for the button at the top right corner of any inventory menu. Players are now able to reset their accounts by mode. Single player, multiplayer and ARC. Multiplayer with ARC account link. Increase the max character slots to 25 online and 40, whopping 40 offline. Improvements and bug fixes now. In terms of classes, there are some general fixes. Fixed an issue where all class resources were not updating properly while using skills without sufficient resources while moving no longer prompts the not enough energy notification. Fixed an issue where players' characters sometimes move the opposite direction of players' mouse clicks, and critical pet condition audio warnings no longer sound in town. Dusk Mage. Celestial Pant's legendary affix has been reworked. Now reads: when light bar is charging, dark bar charges at 25% of normal rate, and vice versa. Set bonus: the opposing bar now charges at 50% of normal rate. This has outright replaced the former affix, which increased damage while in harmonic form. To compensate this notable loss, a small baseline damage increase to Dusk Mage skills has also been installed. I actually love this, it's very fun. Nice change. Great Weapon is more visible when standing idle during character screen. Radiant Blast now exhibits VFX when show but is toggled off in the options. Harmonic form can once again be achieved after the player dies with fully charged light resources. Damnation skill description has been revised to describe the skill more accurately. Dusk Mages can no longer obtain an indefinite plus 75% damage buff by summoning minions of Bane or Cold Heart, which is nice. Nice that they fixed this bug. So, Forged. Steam Gauge now presents a numerical value on the HUD. Amazing. Fixed Sonic Pulse's final milestone, so it will actually apply its damage bonus for Steam skills. So it wasn't applying them, and Forge was still strong without that. Interesting. Reworked Pressure Shot's tier 3 milestone instead of always critically hitting, which was not functioning correctly. And the fourth shot always stuns all the enemies it hits. Okay, understandable, kind of a DPS nerf, but if it wasn't intended, so be it. Revise the proc for Forge Steam Cone on melee basics to only trigger when a monster takes damage from the basic attack. Fracking strikes damage increased correctly by skill level. Okay, I hope that's a buff to the damage, because it was a little bit underwhelming before. Fix some lingering references to servo-driven uppercut. Fixed item affixes that referred to pressure shot as swag shot. Fracking Strike's tier 1 bonus now works as described. Fracking Strike no longer double charges when its bonuses are unlocked. Now, fixed inconsistent text highlights in skill tooltips. Mortar car, shotgun car, ghost train. Shocking rounds, flamethrower car, pound, busting charge, hammer spin, flying pixel lantern, flash and torque swing. Okay. Revised busting charge, so it works with the battery RAM legendary as intended. Fixed lantern charge, lantern flashes synergy bonus reading 65% on the tooltip. It now reads 10%, which is the amount previously provided, only the tooltip was incorrect. Hammer spin's effect no longer persists after the lifetime of the skill. Now for the Sharpshooter. Curse of PP skill no longer affects friendly minions. Corrected some typos in the Curse of PP skill. Fixed the Fate of Rizzy and Onslaught skill, so they all scale appropriately with per point damage factors. Interesting. I hope that's an increase to the damage and not a decrease. Changed the tooltip for the Ghost Visage bonus to not reflect the amount of critical chance in the mouse over tooltip. It can be found in the base tooltip. Sacrifice the Goose's tier 1 milestone now. Sacrifice to Goose's tier 1 milestone now gives 20% damage vulnerability to the skill, taking it from 25 to 45 as designed. Interesting, interesting. Good to know that it finally works. Onslaught now has a precision tag on its tooltip description. Tier 2 bonus for the scatter shot now gives 50% increase instead of doubled ranged basic attack damage. Okay. Now moving on to relics. Fixed relic skill showing 0 relic energy as a cost. Fixed skill showing too much relic energy when the message should be not enough relic energy. Fixed skills with no cooldown showing 0 cooldown in the description. See, here comes the buffs for the cold hard. Jack dice. Chance to chill when hit increased to be equal to chance on hit. Frost Shock fixed an issue where the tier 2 milestone freeze duration was only half as long as stated, then doubled the freeze duration. Ice Shield increased damage to 400% weapon damage base, which is nice. Buff damage for a skill that was already strong. Frostskin base cooldown reduced to 40 seconds from 70. And up to 20 seconds at rank 5 from 35. Ice Golem health increased to 1000% from 2000%. Freeze duration on slam increased to 4 seconds up from 1. Smooth Bores increased icicle damage by 50%. Pretty nice. Breaking point max health per point increased to 5% from 2%, freeze nova damage doubled, and per point scaling increased to 25% up from 10, which is amazing. And the total HP that you can get. Snowstorm tier 3 milestone critical hit chance now works against chilled enemies as well as frozen. And here's something I'm not happy about. We don't want crit chance with that skill. We can get crit chance up to 40% easily. Yeah, it made sense when it was 100% crit chance, which actually never worked, but this should have been something different. This should have been something, as I've said many times, such as reducing the damage an enemy does to you for X seconds by X%, like 10, 15, 20% less damage that this enemy can do, as long as it's hit by the snowstorm aura. So an enemy touches Snowstorm's aura, then for let's say 5 seconds it does 20% less damage to you. And it's not a buff applied on you, but a debuff applied on the enemy. The same way Damnation works. That's what it should have been. We can easily get 40% crit chance. We don't need 40% crit chance against shield or frozen. It's nice. Some people can just forget about crit chance from gear and just focus on freeze and chill, and then use this passive and build around it, but it's not the best move here. Now, Cold Front, damage increased to 45%, 450% from 330, pretty solid. Adjusted the tooltip for Cold Heart's Ice Golem skill to reflect that its active skill deals 600% of its base damage, not the player's weapon damage. Good to know. Changed the source of damage for Cold Heart's Snowstorm skill, which was previously causing it to fail to scale per point. Fixed a bug that caused Bane's 8-legged allies to have a summon cap 4 more higher than the tooltip listed. Bloodrinker's Blood Barrier now has a new icon. Fixed Bloodrinker's Blood Seeker skill and Flaming Destroyer's milestone to add a hazard skill so they all scale appropriately with per point damage factors. Fixed an issue with Electrode's 1000 volt burst missing VFX. The tier 3 effect of Flaming Destroyer Summoning Smash skill was not working, it is now. Fixed an issue with Flaming Destroyer Sword Smash not dealing damage to Ordrak. Fixed issues of Flaming Destroyer's Cloak of Flames and Summoning Smash damage not scaling correctly to the skill points invested on them. Fixed Flaming Destroyer's Cloak of Flames tier 1 bonus, changing size when forcing root motion is applied. Fixed Flaming Destroyer's Blazing Pillars will no longer proc Giant's Wings. Fixed an issue where Flaming Destroyer's Sword Smash VFX were displaying a grey box in place of designed visuals. Now on to gear. Fixed it so plus percent damage to basic attack affixes works as intended, finally. Very happy about this. Fixed an issue causing Fazir's Dungeon Challenge bonuses on items to be conveyed to some legendary affixes, and legendary affixes are not meant to inherit the effects of the challenge bonus, so you would no longer see people that get plus 6 to this skill category and that skill category on the legendary set items. It should be plus 1 and plus 1 more with the set bonus, not plus 6. Not plus 3 and plus 3 more with the set bonus, which is nice. I mean, some people are getting some overpowered setups with that. Winter Legendary Chest buff now uses a 4-leaf clover icon. The Holy Icon Legendary Shield now spawns Ghostly Alpaca in combat. Mountain King's Powdrons and Toymaker's tools minions are now split into 2 inventories, so their caps don't affect each other, and then the Explode bot summoned by Mountain King's Powdrons not dealing the listed amount of damage is fixed. Fixed missing damage description for Mountain King's Powdrons, and the Woods Beast's Wrap set now ignites enemies for 40% weapon damage on evade. Elfin Cap and Frost Form Cap drop rates weights have been adjusted. Fixed an issue where the Echoes of Life missiles did not move correctly. Fixed an incorrect actor limit rule for archives that was preventing the boss chest pet to spawn. And fixed an issue where new characters were unable to use the base Legendarium affixes. Now, forts. Players can now interact with the staff station in other players' forts. For all contracts there has been a change that bonus character SWAT rewards have been replaced with a Respectacle consumable in light of them increasing the maximum storage space to... we would talk about that in a moment, to 25 in online and 40 offline. Fixed an issue where props remain highlighted after exiting the for customization mode. The for button will now ignore the cursor when the menu is up. The button will still be present. There are changes to the for customization UI that appears when the player spawns inside their Fortune Xbox and Game Pass. And in the for customization UI, the Enchanter's Outer will have a message that lets you know that you can use it after level 46. Players are now no longer able to steal gear from other players via their wardrobes, which is nice. There were people who could abuse this and was abusing this. Hivit's Shield bonus offhand enchanting recipes now unlocks the correct enchantment. Hivit's Shield bonus instead of Hivit Smasher. Economic Ranger and Hivit Scrapper enchanting recipes are now legendary quality. Various wardrobe repairs have been made. Now, Fazir's Dungeon Extreme Close-Up affix is no longer affected by the player toggling inventory menus. Fazir's Dungeon level 249 and 250 now drop 118% gear, so that you don't have to farm level 251's boss run for the best possible stats on items. You can just farm the previous two stages as well. Fazir Dungeons should now scale level seed information as intended. Adjusted the rotation position of the Fazir Dungeons prop. Moving on to pets now. New pets management UI will be present whenever the player rescues a new pet or visits their pet shelter. Wet Kisses works again. Halloween and winter pets are still available, but are twice as rare relative to their quality. Pets will follow the player between areas again. Most summoned minions can now teleport to you if they get too far away, just like your pet does. Pets now benefit from pet attack seed affixes on pet tags and covers. Made the chance that pet cages appear at the end of dungeons more reliably. Fixed aggressive texture compression on all eyes. Adjusted anchors and size of the pet swap UI panels, addressed an issue where the send pet to town button was not updating when used, addressed another issue where the pet timer would not begin when the pet would die or be sent to town. Pets no longer freeze in combat with Black Fang spiders. Pet enchantment resistance is now known as elemental hitter pet. All the skills no longer disappear from the skill bar upon travel. Off to monsters and bosses, there's a few changes. Skultar's cat minion now is destroyed upon his death. Missile-based skills are moving again after being unpulled. Attempt to fix secret alpaca level monster disappearing when they're using the Stormbringer affix. Equinox charging call VFX fixes, another VFX fix and another VFX fix for different things. Fixed an issue where fire trails from blazing affix were not appearing in combat. Grendel Pox minion summoning missiles no longer leave permanent VFX on the ground. Further reduce the monster spawner, disabling volume near the entrance of the Goblin Forest area used in Fazir's Dungeon, which was preventing the unique Goblin champion Gunsmith Grundy from spawning in certain seats, preventing the quest Gobs and Guns from being completed. I've actually encountered this a lot of times before. Good to see it's fixed, or good to hear it's fixed, read it's fixed. Minor descriptions fixed for Stormbringer challenge affix, reduce the size of the secret weapons, click capsule so that we can click to get behind him a bit easier. Now onto UI, I probably again might not read everything here because it's a lot of stuff, but the characters, class and titles are displayed in the character selection list, hardcore labels for characters being read, increase the size of character thumbnails, vendors now have markers for their location on the minimap, players are no longer allowed to open the options menu while that, then there's pet storage now has a close button. Then they changed the director endpoint from extra.net to torchlight.com, not sure what that endpoint is. Disabled some tooltips on all class resource widgets in the skill class info panels. They fixed the skill description for Royal Shasta to appear during character creation. The camera no longer goes to the wrong position after cancelling the forged walk down sequence in the character create. Then new player portrait templates for when portraits are loading upon initial party formation. What else is there worth mentioning? It is no longer possible to dual box on the Game Pass version of Torchlight 3. Then updated the text from always show nameplates to always show dropped item names on the option screen. Addressed various icon issues, and players are no longer blocked from using the die options on the style station when using a gamepad. Players are no longer given blank window prompts when attempting to invite blocked players to parties on the PlayStation Network, and when using a gamepad, the player's HUD will close to open the menu when the player calls it. Other improvements and bug fixes, yeah, there's a few that I may not mention, but addressed multiple multiplayer party and voice chat issues, some gamepad changes into drop-down menus. Respectable gold value has been reinstated and now automatically woods if the player has available space in their consumables inventory. Bonus characters, what contract rewards have been replaced with Respectacle's consumable. Additional attempts have been made to fix the WAC 3 quest bugs. Destructible meshes can no longer receive decals. They fixed some NPC related stuff. There's a slight increase of the critter spawn tick and tick intervals for performance purposes. They cleaned up the missile pooling code, and friendly guards should no longer spawn in Mapworks dungeons or Fuzzier Scroll dungeons. Instances will not be restarted if the player puts the portal in location and returns through it after a reset. Added more space between top navigation buttons and controller prompt buttons. Privacy settings towards other players are now considered in the join session logic on Xbox Plus Game Pass. Additionally, block users will no longer be able to initiate parties with those who block them. Xbox users can now read text chat channels. Clue has been removed from the quest item drops in the Artifact Story quest. New crates for contributors, then various Fuzziers dungeon quest bug fixes, various environment bug fixes, localization changes and updates, performance bug fixes and updates, crash fixes for all platforms. And this pretty much sums up all the patch notes. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be looters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, water shooters and all sorts of looters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.